Hello everyone. This week we're going to be looking and beginning to work with empirical research articles, and we're getting ready for it. So the first thing that we want to focus on is the language. Research has its own special language, and that's what we're going to look at and focus on in this screencast. So we're going to be looking at this list of words, but we're also going to be looking at them in the context of an academic empirical research article. So we're going to start with the word abstract. An abstract is that paragraph before the text that summarizes the entire article. So when the instruction says read the abstract, then this is what you need to do. We see abstract, it's right there, and we look at this. Now within that abstract, sometimes it appears this way, sometimes it appears just as a paragraph. We see key words, objectives, methods, that's how they did the research, results, what they found, and their conclusions. So the abstract is a very important word to know when we're talking about research. Assumptions. Assumption is something that the researchers believe is true. We assume this, we assume that, and from which they want to draw a conclusion. And while they're working on their research, they're going to be making some assumptions, and they're also going to be telling you about that. The word caption. Now, caption is what's written next to or under a picture, and in research, we can see it under tables or figures or different kinds of things. So here in this article, it happens to be going landscape in that portrait, but again, underneath here, it's a kind of caption. So we have to always look at this and read. It helps us to understand what's in the table itself. And here we see table 1, and a table is a graphic display of statistical information or any other kind of information. It summarizes it. And here we can see the word variable. These are the different things that they looked at, and we're going to come back to that. Now let's go back to our list now that we know what a caption is. The next word is citation. And we're going to look at the word citation together with references. There you are, references. So they go together, they're similar. The references is a list of sources at the end of the article, something you're all very familiar with. So what's a citation? Now be careful, because in Hebrew, the translation is the same, tzitut, but it's not exactly tzitut, and it's not a quotation. So we have to be careful. So let's look carefully at what we've got. Go back to the article. And here we can see our references, and these are the list of all the sources that the authors used when writing their article. And here we can see that there's a number 1. Well, why did they number them? They numbered them because they want to refer to them in the text itself. So we will see here a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, a number 4. And if I want to know where did they get this information, then I can go back to the list of the references. Go back to the list of references in the article, and I go find number 1, and I can see the information came from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Traffic Safety Facts 2009. So this is where they got their information. And 2, sometimes it appears a little bit differently. Sometimes it'll appear in parentheses. And here we can say they gave us the website, but sometimes it'll have the name of the author and the year the article was published. So be aware when you see something in parentheses, that it's some kind of citation. It refers to where the information came from. So now we understand We have references and we have citations. References are at the end, citations are in the body of the text. The effect is a result or an outcome. Factor, it's a cause or reason. These words may appear, they may not appear in an article, but they, of course, they are looking for results and outcomes, and effects and factors are causes and reasons that determine a result. Findings, it's the results of the research. Again, it's another way of saying result. A footnote is sometimes at the bottom of the page with a number, don't confuse it with a citation, that adds some extra information, something that the author didn't necessarily want to put in the body of the text. I sort of say it's, extra information that's good to know. A heading. Well, we know headings from previous articles, and if we look here in research articles, it's almost always the same 4 headings. We have introduction, and that gives us all kinds of information. Methods, how they did the research. The results, what they found, and we can see here, Table 1 provides the information. And discussion. And discussion discusses, okay, this is what we found. These were the results. What do they mean? So these are key headings to pay attention to in empirical research articles. The next thing that we want to look for are hypotheses. A hypothesis is if this happens, then this. Sometimes it's our research questions too. So here we can see that in this article they related to research questions. And this is what they want to find out. It's like a hypothesis, but it's asked in a question format. For example, here, what changes are taking place in the percentage of high school seniors, Yudbetnikim, driving after using marijuana, using other illicit, illegal drugs, alcohol, etc. So the next thing that we want to look at, and I'm skipping one, I'm going to literature. What do they mean here by literature? Literature is a review of the research, and that comes in the introduction, and we'll be talking about that more. Literature, Sifrut, in other words, it's the academic literature. References, sample. What's a sample? Now, we all know what an example is, and we don't want to mix it up with a sample. But sample is a small of something. So if we look here, which annually surveyed nationally representative samples of high school seniors. Because we can't look at every single high school senior in the whole, anywhere in the whole world or wherever. So we have to take a representative sample. Midgamietzek. The other thing we want to pay attention to is when we have a significant effect. We know what an effect is, that's a result. And significant tells us that it was statistically reliable. In other words, if we do it again, we'll get the same results. So here it's 32% difference, significant, and then we have the statistical notation. But whenever we see the word that something is significant, a result, an outcome, that's very important for us. Subjects, those are the human participants in the article, and they will probably talk about them in the methods. Sometimes they use the word participants. Table, we know, verify is another word to check. So if we go through and we look, there are a lot of different words that we need to be aware of when we're reading. We look at the abstract. We pay attention to the sample to find out who the subjects were, that there were 22,000 seniors. Those were the subjects or the participants. We want to pay attention to the headings like introduction. We want to pay attention to the citations and check where the information came in the references. We want to pay attention to the research questions. or the hypotheses. This is what they're checking, what they're looking for. We want to pay attention to the method, how they did the research. We want to look at the results, and we want to find those that were significant, that they were statistically meaningful. And of course, we want to be aware of what the significant findings were and understand the discussion. What did the authors think about this? What do we know? So that it's important to be, to know, not even aware, to know the vocabulary of research. And that is our first step before going and diving into reading an empirical research article.